Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's been way too long, way too long. I apologize since my last Spurs video. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks. Today I want to talk about a couple of different things because it's late August right now. You know, our news are like, KD's staying, Donovan Mitchell might stay as well. Snooze. So I'm going to go through a lot of these teams in the league, hopefully every team in the league, and kind of just give you a little bit of a breakdown, everything included. So my big thing with the San Antonio Spurs this upcoming season is I view this as a full-on developmental / rebuild season. Now, when you're rebuilding, all right, there's one critical thing till you can get things kind of bumping, right? You got to find your player, right? You have to find your franchise player. Now, next year's draft is loaded. Before we get into this video, guys, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. I post daily NBA videos, starting to post a little football videos. I host a daily live NBA show. We talk Spurs, we talk everything. Check that out, link down below, or type in the NBA show YouTube or the NBA show Upton, whatever. This is my point. Next year's draft class is so freaking deep. It is so deep. Apparently, it's the deepest we've seen in at least a decade. And there's one specific player coming out of it named Victor Wembanyama, who is an absolute G. This guy's like 7'5". Now, if you look at his shooting splits, we'll talk about Vic a little bit later on in today's video. But ideally, for every team at the lower end of these standings in the NBA like next year, like everybody's eyes is on Vic right now. And I know you have, big guys pose some injury risk. We just unfortunately saw Chet Holmgren go down for the entire season, but he's still going to have a very, very successful NBA career, in my opinion. So when we look at this starting lineup here, this is what Real GM has. Trey Jones, starting point guard. Most likely, I see that being the case. I don't think Primo is going to be the starting point guard unless he starts, coming off of the bench and he's just like balling out, playmaking, getting those assists. Trey Jones is a very, very solid young point guard in this league. And, the way I look at it, man, I want every player, because this is filled, the Spurs are filled with young players. I want everybody to just be able to do their thing. I just want to see improvements. I want to see flashes. I want to see glimpses. And towards the end of the season, I want to start seeing some consistency. So this is a big year for everybody on this squad. But this is the starting five for Basketball Real GM. Trey Jones, Josh Richardson, who I believe will be traded at some point in the season. You'll probably have Primo come up, play behind him, or maybe Primo's going to be the backup point guard. Devin Vassell is, my Florida State boy. Devin Vassell is an extremely enticing player to me because he really came alive towards the end of the year. He came back, I believe he came back from a quick little injury somewhere after the All-Star break, comes back and just starts doing his thing. I had him in fantasy basketball, and this dude was dropping, 14 points, 6 rebounds, maybe 3 assists every single night. So I'm hoping that Devin Vassell, I don't think he'll be your cornerstone franchise basketball player, but I'm hoping he takes a leap, gets up to like 15 points per game, because he's extremely versatile, and he's a really solid basketball player, all things considered. Power forward, you have Keldon Johnson. Now, he just got extended. In my opinion, I don't think the extension was bad whatsoever. I think Keldon Johnson, he just had a full-on breakout season, extremely young player, 17 points per game, about 6 rebounds and 2 assists. Here's the thing, and this is what the NBA has been trending towards in recent seasons. Most likely, I think Keldon Johnson at some point in his San Antonio Spurs career gets it traded. That's the way I see things going. However, I would love to be wrong. And, once again, to reiterate the point, Keldon Johnson's a phenomenal basketball player. He's one of the best up-and-coming young guys in the NBA right now. I just think that he is going to, just the way his contract's based is the San Antonio Spurs are really just setting themselves up. Because he's on a reasonable contract where, if he keeps doing his thing, but the Spurs decide to go in a different direction, you can easily trade him. But he's also on a solid enough contract where if he breaks out more than he's already breaking out, let's say he gets up to next season, 20 points per game, 7 or 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Well, now you have, what a lot of Spurs fans are already thinking right now. Now you have a rising star, possible superstar in this league. He's very young. Future is very bright for Keldon Johnson. At center, you have Jakob Poeltl. He also had a great kind of, he's been a really solid basketball player, but he kind of had his breakout. I actually think I have his stats pulled up. I do have his stats pulled up. So, this was his 6th season right here. First year kind of, not his first year starting, but he went from 8.6 points per game to 13.5. Just all around really solid basketball player. But at 26, 27 years old, I don't think he fits the future of the San Antonio Spurs. And this gets me thinking, if the Spurs are like, say they fall number 2 or 3 in the draft and you still have some of these players, guys like Josh Richardson, Jakob Poeltl, maybe you're able to package these guys up and try and get your guy in Vic. The whole point is this is going to be a rebuild. The Spurs are not going to be a great basketball team record-wise this upcoming season. It's not Vic or bust, though. Right? It's not Vic or bust. I just think if Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs get a hold of Victor Wembanyama, I think it might be over. I think it might be over because that's your guy. You might have other guys who are just as, or looking great. Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Primo, Blake Wesley, Sohan. We'll talk about those guys a little later on in the video. But you have an all-around really solid shot at getting Vic. So I would go all in and try and get him, man. I was watching some film on him earlier today, which kind of got me to make this Spurs video because I'm watching this guy. I'm like, Jesus, dude. He's 7'5". He has really, really good handles for his size. He can get sneaky low. He's got, he really, moves his torso well. He's extremely young, and, he shot 29%, I want to say, this past season from downtown. But you see some of these threes. Go watch a Vic highlight reel. Even the lowlights, man, he just barely misses the rim. On his missed threes, it's just barely. And the reason I see is just he's got weakish legs. He hasn't fully come into his body. He's not even done growing. He's going to put on muscle. He's going to put on some weight. And that's when I think the threes are going to start falling in at a consistent level. The way this guy can really maneuver his body into versatile shot attempts is a little crazy. And at 7'5", 7'6", you don't have to be worried about shot contests or getting blocked, really. So Jakob Poeltl, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. He's a really solid basketball player, but long term, I think he might get traded. Joshua Primo is a really interesting player. We know Greg Popovich, and that's why I'm thinking, I think that they have a lot of young G's on this team. I look at every pick from their first round this past year. Blake Wesley from Notre Dame, Jeremy Sohan, top 10 pick. You have Malachi Branham from Ohio State. You have 3 really solid basketball players. But if there's something I know about the Spurs, I don't know how much about those. I really don't know how much these guys are going to play. Come end of the season, I think they'll get rid of Richardson. I think they'll get rid of Poeltl. I think they'll get rid of Doug McDermott. Zach Collins, if they don't, I still think you're going to see your younger guys play a little bit more, but especially if a combination of any of those guys leave, you're definitely going to see more minutes for these young guys. Joshua Primo's a really, really enticing basketball player to me, but like I said, with Popovich and the Spurs, with these young guys, you just don't see them play that much. You just don't see them play that much. So long-term wise, they have a lot of young studs on this squad. But I don't know how much of a glimpse we're really going to get of that this upcoming season. I'd throw in guys like Keita Bates-Diop, Romeo Langford. They're enticing, interesting players. You have Isaiah Roby, which might have been the most low-key move of the entire offseason. Isaiah Roby this past season in Oklahoma, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He's a really solid player. I think he'll be the backup big man for this squad. But really, at the end of the day, if I'm the San Antonio Spurs, salary-wise, you're looking money. We have a loaded free agency this upcoming year, and money's changing right now. You got Keldon on a fine contract, but you have a lot of young pieces. What I would do is I would evaluate your talent this whole season. I would try and get guys like Sohan and Blake Wesley playing as much as possible. Josh Primo right up in there. Hopefully he's the backup point guard and gets 25 a night at least. I'd evaluate, kind of see which young guys you want to move forward with. Draft Vic. I think the Spurs will be drafting top 4. Vic, Scoot, whoever it's going to be. Going to free agency, maybe you get a big name or two, and you just kind of go on from there. This isn't going to be a quick process, but it's not going to be the slowest process in the world because Greg Popovich, San Antonio Spurs, they really know what they're doing. So this is going to be a fun season if you like watching young studs do their thing. And that's what I like, and that's why I'll be watching plenty of San Antonio Spurs games this upcoming year. So let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for me. Drop some comments down below on the San Antonio Spurs. I'll catch you cats later.